What's the most fricked up thing you've experienced at a NYE party? Y2K. Right as everyone was transitioning from the one of the countdown to Happy New Year, my buddy flipped the main breaker to the house. Panic did ensue. My brother ate an entire tray of Oreos by himself, and later that night, he was vomiting pure black. My other brother walked in on that while half asleep, and thought he was having a nightmare. Party at my house. At midnight, a girl threw herself at her husband for a kiss so hard she put his butt through my wall. They were both too drunk to notice at the time, but when I saw it later and started asking who the heck put an butt-shaped hole in my wall, and she was picking weird pieces of drywall off the back of her husband's sweater, she put it together. They were mortally embarrassed. He came over the next day and patched it good as new. See, this kind of responsible response to drunken stupidity makes it downright funny. I like this kind of story. Absolutely naked guy came walking into the bar and sat at the bar like nothing odd about it. This is a neighborhood bar, but it's a little famous. A lot of famous actors and such pass through because it's been in a lot of movies and always has good music. So mostly people are ignoring the guy or whatever, just sort of wondering when the cops will show up, but I'm outside looking in because I was enjoying the air over the levee. Big crowd. Nobody else being naked and not too drunk yet. But the bartender won't turn around and even look at the guy. She's just been standing at the bar facing the mirror the whole time, acting like she's polishing a glass and the place is basically full, but she won't even address him. Eventually she starts sobbing and someone says something to the naked guy and it gets a little confrontational and a couple of the bigger guys help him make up his mind to leave, but he's not apologetic at all, and it turns out he was the bartender's father and he found out she'd done a porno film or something similar. And he was trying to make a point. Yeah, he's on a list now. Not that it matters. Everybody for 3 towns knows who he is after that crap. Unfortunately, the bartender couldn't hold it together the rest of the night, and that's how we found out the whole thing. Whoa, that's commitment to an analogy. Friend's wife slipped off the back of our hot tub and got wedged between the hot tub and the house. Almost had to call the fire department to get her out. She was so embarrassed she tore her ACL in an attempt to get herself out. Alcohol was a factor. Update. Additional info. An important detail that was left out. Her husband, and Redditor suggested that I provide, was that it was -10 out that night, so we had to keep pouring warm hot tub water on her so she didn't freeze to death. The moment I read to her ACL I winced. That crap's horrible. Came down with a case of norovirus. At first I thought I just drank too much, vomiting. Then the other end started to rumble, and I knew I was in trouble. It lasted for 2 full days. Worst time ever. I hate noro. My son got it from daycare. I got it from him. Husband got it from me. That's a full week of cleaning crap and vomit. It was my spring break from university. I leaned in to kiss a hot stranger at the strike of midnight and surprisingly she went for it. But she puked in my mouth and all over my face. Projectile puke to be accurate. It was awful. Frick New Year's. A girl I barely knew getting abandoned at my friend's house because her friends didn't want to deal with her. I've had it happen multiple times in my life where I end up taking care of random people, but this girl went on the roof with her friends, then got so hammered that she couldn't get down without help and they decided it wasn't their problem and left her. After getting her down, I spent the night holding her hair in the bathroom and making sure she made it through the night, which didn't bother me too much because someone had to do it and we all know how awful it can be to go through that sort of thing. But what broke my heart was her laying next to the toilet begging me not to leave her like everybody else. I miss college, but looking back it's frustrating how many friendships were nothing more than I'm here for you but only as long as I'm having fun. Paula. Goddamn it, Paula. She was a friend of a friend. Invited a few people over for New Year's Eve. Her condo had a great view of where there would be fireworks. Her brother was there, along with his boyfriend. Come midnight, everyone's a bit trashed. Someone mentions that the 3rd floor balcony would have a great view of the fireworks. So everyone rushes up there. Turns out, Paula, her brother, and her brother boyfriend decided to have a threesome. I was right behind my girlfriend at the time, and she opened the door to that bedroom right in front of me. Paula was getting it from both ends. Brother and boyfriend. We watched the fireworks from the street. Social suicide. That's freaking crazy though, lol. Work night at a swanky party hotel. A couple checked into one of our most expensive suites, then got in a huge fight in the lobby before even getting to the room. They almost got kicked out right there, but security separated them and they went separate ways to cool off. After an hour or so, the man starts going around the whole hotel asking if anyone has seen his wife. People were starting to get worried for her until a while later she comes back down to the lobby. They meet and start to make up until a random dude walks up to them and tells the hubby what went down. The woman apparently went straight to a random hotel room and revenge fricked two guys. The husband of course loses his crap and starts screaming the most derogatory names while the wife is yelling back all sorts of emasculating remarks. It was almost midnight by this point and the hotel was already way out of control. So it took security almost 5 minutes to get back to the lobby to remove these two. By that time the whole ground floor had learned all the lewd details of their relationship and her little adventure. And the really fricked up thing is that's their night tradition. I got cut one year. I asked a guy if I could see his really cool knife. He let me see it, right on the back of my hand. Made a 3-inch gash in my hand all the way through the skin. I was in the army at the time, and we had a massive party in some bushland near our base. This lady, who had been a girlfriend of one of the guys for about a week, over a year before, found out about it somehow and turned up. She was a little drunk and a lot crazy, ended up in a psych hospital a few years later, and had driven her car through the bush and almost hit one of the guys. She was asked to leave about a dozen times, and then made the mistake of picking a fight with the only guy for 100 miles in any direction who was more crazy than her. We managed to stop him from hurting the woman, but then he took out his best stabbing knife and slashed all of her tires, punched holes in every body panel, busted every light, and finally used the roof of her car as a trampoline for a couple of minutes. I really he hoped he called it his best stabbing knife. I like to think he had a whole collection. This is my best slashing knife. And this is my best gutting knife. And here we have my best skinning knife. My cousin had recently broken up with my friend, both of whom were at the party. My friend decided the best thing to do was to get drunk and go attempt suicide by laying down in a snowbank on my front lawn. He failed. It's a stupid way to try to die. Well, at least he didn't try a better way to die. Friend decided to throw a night party. I helped with shopping and setting up. By 10:30 no one had shown up. Host guzzled 2 bottles of champagne and locked himself in the bathroom. Doorbell rings around 11 o'clock and there are a dozen people outside. More continued to show up. Proceeded to have a great party in our friend's house while he spent the night passed out in the bathtub, naked except for a cowboy hat. Was at a night party in a small apartment several years ago, and there was a woman there who had peed her pants, and either didn't notice or didn't care. It was very obvious and after a while it started to smell too, but she was just casually laughing and talking and acting like it was no big deal. That's the only way to pull that crap off. Pretend like you meant to do it and it's no big deal. Last New Year's I went to 15 years ago. I did a backflip down a full flight of stairs. I'm typing with my fingers, so no, I'm not paralyzed. My college roommate and I rented a first floor apartment in a house next door to a convent. We threw a New Year's Eve party and invited musician friends to play live music that people requested. Soon the doorbell rang, and it was a group of 7 nuns that wanted to join us and listen to the music. Those nuns knew how to party. They fixed themselves some potent drinks and eventually decided to return to the next door convent. When I asked if they'd like an escort back, one nun said, "Thanks, but we're within staggering distance of home." I saw the guy curl one off at a party. Yup, he shat in a flower pot in front of everyone. He was drunk as frick and kept telling girls he was an F-16 stunt pilot, but my mate knows him and says he's an unemployed plumber from Hull. When I was 15 I went to a night party in the Castro district of San Francisco. I expected to see lots of crazy crap, naked people, and supreme gayness. I saw all of that. As midnight approached, a beautiful 30-something woman who knew my sister came up to me and started telling me how cute I was and how beautiful my hair was. It was the 90s and I had long grunge style hair, among other things. She kept looking over her shoulder at me for the next few minutes as she walked around the party, and my eyes were transfixed on her. At midnight we all started blowing horns and cheering, generally making lots of noise, and then it slowly fell silent as everyone started kissing. It didn't really matter much who or what you were kissing. Apparently, I was there with my sister, and I was not kissing her, so I was basically looking around totally uncomfortable. Suddenly someone grabbed my shoulder and spun me around. It was the beautiful lady. She asked me if I had ever kissed before, and I shook my head. I felt her lips press against mine, and then her tongue force my mouth open and give me a deep passionate kiss for what seemed like an eternity. As she pulled away I nearly fell into her arms. She gingerly ran her fingers along my face and whispered, "Happy New Year, sweetie." She walked off and I never saw her again. Thank you crazy 30-something beautiful lady for being a super creeper and mouth fricking this 15 years old boy. I've never forgotten you. I'm sorry to tell you this, but she was a he. You were 15 and didn't notice. I was in old Sacramento one night at a bar waiting for the fireworks show with some friends. This guy got up to go get a drink and ran into the girl and spilled her drink all over her. He apologized and asked if he could get her another drink and she was just yelling at him. She walked past him over to her boyfriend and told him he was some gangbanger or something and he pulled out a gun and killed him. The security guard tried to stop him from leaving and the guy shot him too, though I believe he lived. The cops shut down everything, everyone had to leave the area, they blocked off all of Old Town, cancelled the fireworks shows. This was at like 9 or 10 o'clock, so because of this couple they not only killed a guy destroying a family's life, they ruined thousands of people's night. That poor guy. No one deserves that crap. When I was younger my family would celebrate with a couple other families in our neighborhood and would do a potluck type buffet. We brought sushi one year, and my dad got some actual wasabi for the occasion. An idiot friend of a friend bet another idiot he could eat all the wasabi in one go. Straight up ate it before anyone had a chance to try some. He ended up throwing up for an hour and my dad was not happy. That poor wasabi, gone like tears in the rain. Real wasabi is expensive. I wouldn't be happy either. Was working in a bar in Tokyo back in 94/95 as a barman. 2 Saudis sitting by the bar and an Iranian gentleman standing behind ordering a beer. Saudis told the Iranian to frick off and a punch up followed. All of them got chucked out. Hour later the police shows up as the Saudis were employed by the Saudi embassy and went to complain that they had been treated roughly by the bar staff. Bouncers had to spend night at the police station giving reports until 8 AM. It always annoys me so much how some embassy employees misuse their diplomatic immunity. There's loads of diplomats doing all kinds of illegal parking over here because they don't have to pay the tickets. Sounds like you had a pretty crappy night, though. I don't know about fricked up in general, but the most fricked up thing that has ever happened to me. I was passed out on the floor at about 3 or 4 AM. Another guy at the party had passed out before me, and my friends drew all over his face. He woke up and went to the bathroom, saw the dongs and insults all over his visage, and flipped out. The dudes that did the drawing decided to say it was me, so as I'm laying passed out under a blanket on the floor he creeps over me. I wake up to a quiet but determined voice saying, "Herrien Bruges." Yes, boom. Punched in the fricking ear full strength. I went full rage mode, only time I've ever actually thrown multiple punches at someone. Jumped up, right hook to his face, another jab, and slammed him against the wall and another jab to his face. Only thing that stopped me was that there was a piece of art, friend's parents' house, that was about to fall off the wall from me throwing him against it. So in a weird half apologetic, half confused moment for both of us I asked what the frick was going on. He said I drew dongs on his face. I said I went to bed like 2 hours ago, and I don't know who told you that. I awkwardly let him go, and he stumbled out of the room. I laid back down, and was told the full story of why I was assaulted in my sleep by the actual culprits the next day. The party begins. Drinking ensues. Devon, a young man who was built like an ogre, quickly becomes inebriated. Revelers form into various groups. Devon takes up a prone position on the couch. One of the impromptu assemblages of people decides they want to sit down. Devon proves difficult to rouse, but eventually sits up and scoots over. A conversation begins. "Hang on," Devon shouts. The party goes nearly silent, save for the music. Hang on, Devon says again. The conversation resumes. After a few minutes, Devon bellows hang on once more. Someone finally asks Devon what he wants. What asks Devon? What do you want? The other person repeats. Hang on. Devon replies. Hang on. Hang on. The phrase becomes a joke. Other people start repeating hang on to each other. Oh, yeah, Devon suddenly exclaims. He then barfs all over everyone seated next to him. There are screams and some laughter as people flee. Devon lies back down on the soiled couch. Good. I witnessed my sister attempting to kill herself by swallowing a whole bottle of Tylenol almost 30 years ago. She was supposed to be watching my sister and I while our parents were gone for the weekend. Her boyfriend was supposed to sneak over, but he chose to go to a different NYE party with another chick. Her friend called her up and told her about it. I called grandparents' house when I thought things were going weird. It's probably nothing too crazy compared to all the other stories in here, but I went to a crazy NYE party last year with burlesque dancers hanging from the ceiling, acrobatics, a huge champagne glass that a lady stripped and swam in, etc. Anyways, at midnight a bunch of confetti cannons go off and it snows confetti in every crevice of this place. I legit feel bad for whomever had to pick this stuff up after the party. I shoot my glass of champagne they handed out from a chick who was walking around wearing a metal dress designed to hold champagne glasses, and suddenly realize it's just a glass full of champagne soaked confetti. I immediately run to the bathroom and throw up confetti for a good 2 minutes. I came back and proceed to get yelled at by my wife for missing our New Year's kiss and getting too drunk. I tried to explain but nobody believed the confetti glass. Dita Von Teese is the gal known for semi-stripping and the giant martini glass. She's a babe. I worked 9 and 2 straight years and that was rough. Lots of accidents, gunshots, stabbings, and drunks. Some young guy drove into a river and was brought out frozen hours later to be pronounced at the hospital. An Asian guy was pee drunk and vomiting whole bean sprouts. And the usual drunks were extra hammered. Oh yeah, there were lots of sick people too. In the morning one of the doctors bought us shots. Immunizations on the house. The party was at my apartment. The theme was a very Gaga New Year's and guests were expected to dress in Lady Gaga-esque costumes. My friends and I had been taking shots for hours while we got dressed up and ready for the evening, so I ended up passing out wasted around 11 PM. A weirdo guy who had a crush on me came in my room and rousted me from where I was laying on my desk in a pool of watery tequila vomit, shaking me awake to insist that we kiss at midnight. We made out for a long time in the living room. I went to the restroom afterwards and realized the side of my face was crusted with my own throw up and he put his tongue in my mouth anyway. We were taking 2CB at a house party and a girl who lived a few houses down suddenly appeared in the house all beaten up. Her eyes were swollen and she was terrified. Her boyfriend had beat her up and she'd run out of the house. She heard the noise where we were and ran in. He came to the door a couple of minutes later looking for her but was told she wasn't there. Anyone who's ever taken 2CB will know it comes and goes in waves. Most of what I remember of that night is me trying to talk to her 1 minute and then laughing in her face while she moved in and out of cartoon form. She sat there for about 2 or 3 hours in the middle of all us until some relative came and got her. The next day there were more than a few of us who questioned if she was actually there or not. All in all, wasn't that bad, just horrible timing. I just recently started my divorce, moved out, etc. Wasn't in the mood to hang with my typical friends. Had all but deleted social media. I always got a yearly invite to a night party via PSN from a former coworker. I figured what the heck and went that year. Party was small, mostly couples, I only knew the host. So I'm not really drinking but trying to make a night out of it, but these people were getting hammered. Seemingly out of nowhere, one couple's arguing in the corner, another couple goes in to try and calm things down. Now that couple was fighting. Host goes over. His wife joins. All three couple are having an existential marriage crisis in short order. A few were screaming divorce. The host's wife was crying he never loved her. I said frick it and bounced. Listen to the ball drop, carving some backwards roads that night. NYC here. I hate New Year's Eve, crowds, And Times Square on NYE is scary as helly. My own personal nightmare. I was working hotel AV on NYE about 5 years ago. We had some monitors going in an outlet bar with a live TV feed, so it was just a babysitting gig. At about 10 PM I got a panicked text from the director of a hotel in Times Square. The coverage tech called out and a meeting was going to start at 1045 PM. This hotel was across town in Times Square from where I was working. I had no idea if I could get through and make it in time. I left the hotel and took the most direct route, headed down 7th Ave right into Times Square. I was in a suit with my hotel name tag and armed with my hotel ID. Went to the Ring of Steel. I approached an NYPD captain and explained that I had to get through TS for an emergency. The captain looked at my ID and called over 2 officers who escorted me all the way from 7th Ave at 50th to 43rd and 8th. Got to the hotel in 20 minutes. Who the hell has a meeting at 1045 PM on NYE? Got to the meeting room, corrected some bad AV preset issues and got the meeting up and running. The people meeting were the teams that handle throwing the confetti off of the building roofs after the ball drop. It was a very cool learning experience. Details like removing rings and necklaces before the confetti dropped to avoid injuring revelers below was very interesting. After they left for their police escorts to their buildings, I had to make my way back to my hotel. Unfortunately, I had no luck using my hotel ID to get back through the police cordons. It took about 2 hours to get back to my hotel. Squint here. Goddamn, do I love being able to use my ID to bypass police cordons. Makes life so much easier. This year I have 2 shows and then I am noping out to Queens for a party at a friend's place. Super glad the subway is right next to the entrance of my venue. A question that I'm almost early enough to answer. Crap. It's freshman year of college, and everybody's back home in NYC. My friend invites our close friend group over, and one person brings a friend, who brings 2 friends, who invite more people. The classic snowball out of control house party. The party's going well. I'm very drunk and I've done a little coke. It's just before midnight, and I don't want to make it a 3rd straight year of kissing a bottle of Prosecco as I pop it at midnight. So I'm flirting with this one girl I've never met. She and her friends are really cool, and I hang out with them for most of the party. Midnight comes and goes, and my close friends have apparently up and left. So I just stick with these guys, who say that they've found another party. So I go with them. We come up to this super fancy apartment building in Chelsea, and go up the elevator into this massive penthouse. Nicest place I've ever been. I immediately noticed 2 things. 1. Everyone at this party is over 40 years old. We are 19, and wearing suits or otherwise fancy clothes. 2. Everybody at this party is an uncomfortable level of high, on something I didn't want to frick with. They looked like zombies. Glazed eyes. Some were drooling. Some would just randomly groan. A woman was convulsing on the living room floor. A man was kneeling and punching the air, while a live cover band played exclusively Foo Fighters songs at about 2/3 normal speed. It felt like time had slowed down. Nope, the frick out. Sounds like ketamine, or lots of a benzo like Valium or Xanax to me. I don't know about the purple hue though, probably your imagination. Defo sounds like a dissociative or benzo though. If they were moving around like robots it could have been ket. Not as bad as most things here, but we were outside and this one guy came running out of the woods, yelling, arms splayed with a bottle of beer in one hand and a bottle of champagne in the other. My friend said, "He is going to run right into that tree." I said, "Nah, you'll swerve." My friend was right. The guy ran face first into the tree and knocked himself out. Paris 2000. Hostess of the party we were at tried to kill herself after she thought everyone was gone passed out. I found her. She lived. Field party back when I was in high school. 2004 I believe. We were partying in a field of a developing subdivision some 20 minutes outside of Nashville. It seemed like everyone from our school was there. 2 guys show up from a rival school. They were known for starting crap as there were many after football game fights on Friday nights. They go around grabbing girls' asses just trying to be general pieces of crap. They happened to grab the wrong butt eventually. One guy who was a well-known scrapper at our school, we'll call him Pete. Pete was 18 and absolutely menacing. Easily 6'5" and built like a brick shithouse. Mean. Incredibly mean. Well, this dude grabs his girl's butt and all Pete's friends rush over to basically threaten them to leave because they know someone may be beat to death tonight over this. I look over my right shoulder and see 3 feet wide of head and shoulders above everyone else's heads. He's not pushing people out of the way with his hands. He's literally walking at a strong pace and people are falling over in front of him as he has his eyes fixed on these guys. Pete gets maybe 5 feet away and this guy knows he's fricked. He pulls out a 3-4 inch pocket knife and buried it to the grip into Pete's stomach. Pete just pushes him over and this guy stumbles maybe 20 feet back. He looks down at his stomach and sees that he's bleeding heavily from his gut. This guy and his friend took it as an opportunity to GTFO. They run back to their car and just as they close the door, Pete does something I've never seen before and probably never will again. They had the driver's side window rolled all the way up and in one punch goes through the window and broke the guy's jaw and orbital socket, knocking him out completely. He then notices the passenger who was with him trying to get out, grabs him by his neck and drags him out the driver's side window, and proceeds to give him the most vicious beating I've ever seen in my life. Couldn't have lasted more than 20 seconds. It takes 8 of us to drag him off. This breaks up the party immediately. His brother rushes him to the hospital for a stab wound and bleeding from his wrist. The police and EMS show up to do their job and the kid started seizing as they got him in the ambulance. He died 2 days later from a traumatic brain injury. Pete was charged with manslaughter if I remember correctly. Ended up doing some time which didn't help. He came out stronger and meaner. TL. DR. Don't grab asses because a real life Incredible Hulk may beat you to death. I should feel bad for the kid that died but I don't. He played with fire and ended up paying for it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.